Welcome to OSRS Weekly, where I like to talk about the game update, highlight anything worth mentioning, and give my thoughts on the changes. As always, a massive thank you for watching. If you like this type of content, consider dropping a like and sub for more OSRS videos. So with that being said, let's get into the video. Alright guys, let's get straight into it. So today's update is obviously focused around new players, which I am a massive fan of. I think that anytime we can improve the early game, we should always look to do so. And it looks like that's exactly what Jagex have gone for. So they've updated a lot of the quest dialogue and journals for early game quests. Jagex have mentioned that their goal here was to remove that dependence on the wiki and sort of have more in-game options for players to just figure it out while maintaining that old school feel and not falling into the same trap a lot of modern MMOs do with very annoying pop-ups that overwhelm the player. Then, for the next part of this update, skill guides now include beginner-friendly overview sections, which is huge because they will now say what the skill is and why it matters, how to train it step by step, how it connects to other skills, and they even went one step further to include relevant quests and XP rewards. And if you've played old school RuneScape, you know how important quests can be, so I think this is just an absolutely huge change. However, do note, obviously, if you're an existing player, you'd have to enable these settings to see them, as they don't want to change the in-game experience for a lot of the current player base. I think overall you can see that they've spent a lot of time thinking about how they want to improve the newer player experience without ruining old school RuneScape's identity, and I think that shows in today's update. And of course, what would a game update be in 2026 without some sailing fixes and quality of life? And the ones that stand out most notably are as follows. Sail trimming, speed boost now lasts the same whether done by you or your crewmate. This is actually a really nice quality of life change, and I'm excited to see how that plays out in game. Port tasks now default to deposit held when carrying cargo. The player-owned house butlers now correctly repeat sawmill tasks for higher tier planks. The Horn of Plenty and the Griffin feathers can go into the Huntsman kit. And a new stash unit has been added to Brittle Isle. This one I thought was pretty funny. Tutorial Island, apparently there was an exploit using some sailing NPCs, which has now been fixed. So you can't train combat past level 3. I don't know who was doing this, but if you were, you're a madman. Jagex also confirmed that their ship combat feedback is their top selling priority right now, with more changes coming soon. Who could have guessed? There's currently an in-game maintenance opinion poll running until Monday, which isn't about weekly updates, more so about the future infrastructure maintenance that may require some downtime. Jagex just want you to vote to decide when the maintenance should happen to try to affect the fewest amount of players. Definitely worth taking 30 seconds to vote. And of course, we got some bug fixes, nothing too crazy, though I will say one that stood out was the Karamja diary lamps now correctly enforcing their level requirements. And this one is important because a lot of players were able to use this diary lamp specifically to skip the early game sailing, which we all know 1 to 30 is incredibly slow. And that's pretty much everything for today's game update. Obviously, we got massive changes there to the newer player experience, which I'm all for, but that does come at the cost of nothing too game changing. But with that being said, we did get some sailing fixes and quality of life, so we can't really complain too much. And I'll catch you guys in my next OSRS Weekly. However, what would an OSRS Weekly episode be without a bond giveaway? All you need to do is be subscribed, drop a comment below, let me know what you're working on in game, your current goals, and your RSN.